All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. This is Drew Allen, your Millennial Minister of Truth, coming to you live, as a matter of fact, if you're watching right now. So, breaking news just to start off the show. And if this is your first time tuning in, this is Drew, of course, your Millennial Minister of Truth. So, don't forget it. Look, the Supreme Court just handed Trump a major win, which limits the judge's ability to block birthright citizenship order nationwide. So, look, this order does not make a decision on birthright citizenship, which we'll get into another time. Obviously, the way birthright citizenship has been interpreted is ludicrous and absurd, anchor babies, etc. But what I love is to watch the left's reaction to all of this good news for America that's constitutional. So Amy Coney Barrett came through this time. I know we like to hate on her a lot, and for good reason. But Amy Coney Barrett wrote Ketanji Brown Jackson, who you might remember, she's not a biologist, so therefore she can't determine what makes a man, and a woman, a woman. Well, this person somehow landed on the Supreme Court, and she just got her ASS handed to her, and it's hilarious. But first, let's look at how the left interprets this news, right? So we've had a judicial coup on our hands, right? We've had judicial tyranny. So they talk about Donald Trump, no kings. The judiciary the left-wing activists have made themselves the kings of this country, believing that they have the ultimate authority to tell everybody what they can and cannot do, which certainly is not true. We have separation of powers, but somehow in the left's mind, because they lost an election and they lost Congress, of course, they believe that now the judiciary, these activist left-wing judges, well, they can run the country. You didn't vote for them, but they're going to be the president for the next 4 years. He had the auto-pin administration of Joe Biden, and now you've got the judicial presidency of these left-wing losers. But here is the Daily Beast. Check this out. Coney Barrett gives Trump sweeping boost to federal powers. Sweeping boost to federal powers. The 6-3 ruling, and by so this was ideological, right? 6 so-called right-wing justices and the 3 libs activists. So the 6-3 ruling backs the president's claim that courts were overstepping their authority. So again, this doesn't give a boost to federal powers. This simply upholds the Constitution. This upholds the fact that the president, the executive, right? You have I know if you're a Democrat out there, we got to go through a lot of things today. We got to talk about what happened in New York with this mayor. I know that you don't understand things, and I'm not hating on you. I'm here to educate you. So I know that you don't know there are 3 branches of government, right? You don't understand that. You don't understand you have judges, you have Congress, and you have the executive. Now, I didn't say it exactly because I'm giving you a very, very low tutorial on this. But believe it or not, the executive branch, the president, is a separate but equal branch of government. So anyway, that's going on. Just a couple things. I want to read this to you so you understand what's going on, because this is big news. Don't let the left tell you this isn't huge, because we just ended basically the left's strategy, probably even before Donald Trump won the election, because they knew they were going to get shellacked. Their strategy was to employ activist judges to stop his agenda. All right. And that's what they've been doing. So every time Trump does anything, you have one activist judge, some district court judge, who says, nope, you can't do it, which is absurd. So this is going to put an end to that. Now, let me just give you some pull quotes from this decision, the majority decision. We will not dwell on, listen to this. We will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself. We observe only this: Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary. I mean, I don't know. I hope that she's tending to her wounds. She just got slapped in the face by these justices, and it's the right decision. So anyway, so that's big. Keep an eye on that. Hopefully, look, if the rhinos in Congress and the deep state can continue to sabotage Trump's agenda, which I'm not going to get into the big, beautiful bill today. We'll save that for another episode, but that's going on. But obviously, you've got people trying to sabotage the will of the American people left and right. And this is one weapon that has been taken away from the left now. And it's going to be a lot more difficult. Look, we've basically got 2 years until midterms, because look, when midterms happen, all bets are off. If we don't maintain Congress, you're going to have basically a true lame duck. Somebody who can't do anything. So it's significant that we get stuff passed in the next 2 years. And I've got some strategies to help. based on, look, there's a lot of people talking about weighing in on what happened in New York City with the mayoral race, right? You've got a communist, okay. He calls himself a Democrat socialist, whatever. The Nazis were a socialist party. The left, of course, is basically committing suicide. So anyway, we'll get into that in just a sec. But so the title of this episode today, which I usually don't do, usually I come up with it afterwards, but I'm doing this live, so I had to come up with it before. And it's New York City's on suicide watch. Suicide watch after Zohran Mamdani's shock victory. And I'm asking the question, can New York be saved? Should it be saved? What is the Republicans' role in this? I don't want to be mean. I'm not trying to pick fights. But I just want to say that one of the dumbest ideas I've seen floated out there, okay, is that Republicans should now abandon the Republican Party in New York and support Democrats that aren't communists, but we should now not back Republicans in New York in the actual general that will come up. We should back either Andrew Cuomo, who killed all the grandparents during COVID, or we should back Eric Adams, who's the current mayor, who is also a Democrat. I mean, look, so what are we going to do now? So we're going to start supporting the Democrat Party of 10 years ago that was radical, but it wasn't as radical as the Muslim communist that is now winning in New York City. Like, what are we talking about here? So I'll get into that in a minute. But I want to ask a personal question because I want to try and relate this to you in a way that's non-political. I think that helps to understand some of these issues sometimes. New York City Democrats, right? These people who voted for Mamdani. I mean, whatever. I could play all day with his name. The people that voted for him, they're like drug addicts and alcoholics. Have any of you listening and watching right now, have any of you had somebody in your family or a close friend who's struggled with addiction, who's actually gone through rehab? I have. I've had it with a few different people. And, in the case of the Democrats here in New York City, they're addicted to what? They're addicted to, well, some of them drugs, obviously, as well, but they're addicted to the destructive policies and ideology of the Democrat Party, of the left, of socialism now. Democrat socialism, call it what you want. That's an oxymoron, Democrat socialist. But anyway, socialism doesn't support democracy. But this is the Democrat. And so when I've gone through rehab with these family members or friends, one of the hardest things to do is allow that person to hit rock bottom because you love them, right? You love your son, you love your daughter, you love your brother, you love your sister, you love your friend so much. And so you develop this relationship in which, you're actually preventing them from turning the corner. It's a relationship where, hey, I don't want something bad to happen, so I'm going to keep giving, my son or daughter money. I'm going to keep paying for their housing because I just don't want them to suffer anymore. And so you're actually preventing that person from, and look, here's the scary thing about dealing with addicts. One of the things they'll tell you in rehab is, this is a very uncomfortable thing, but you have to accept that you may lose your loved one. Your son, your daughter, your brother, your sister, your friend, they may very well die. That's the worst case scenario. But if you do not take this action, which is inaction, which is to stop funding their life, to get out of this kind of relationship you have with them where you're enabling, right? You're enabling them, then there's no hope anyway. They're going to die of the drug addiction or alcoholism or whatever anyway. So you have to be willing to let that person die in order to save them. That is how I feel about New York City and these Democrats. Republicans, sane people, cannot try and bail the Democrats out by giving them a lesser of two evils, some Cuomo or even Eric Adams, who's also a radical. I mean, this is what bothers me about the Republican Party. And I know I'm doing the Trump weave here, but I just have so much on my mind that I think is so important to relate in terms of not just the immediate circumstances now in the country, but the future. Because I talked about this last episode. I'm not going to talk about it for 25 minutes, but you can go and listen to the last episode if you want to hear all about this. But one of the unique things Trump has done is, he's recreated the Republican Party. Like there are people in the Republican Party today that never would have been Republicans in the past for various reasons, right? The Democrat Party went so far left. They went against so many of the supposed tenets of the past that even Democrats subscribe to, that these Democrats are, it's like the Reagan blue collar Democrats, the Reagan Democrats. You have the same thing in Trump, but it's even a different coalition. So there are a lot of people in the quote unquote Republican Party. And look, I'm not a special pleader for the Republican Party. I want you to understand that. I am a very proud conservative. My ideology, we have a two-party system. Republican Party is the way I tend to vote, right? And I'm not ashamed of that, but I understand that the Republican Party has problems. I understand that the Republican Party is not perfect. There are people in the Republican Party who are awful, that are, deep state operatives, who are, the uniparty. I know all that stuff exists. But the Republican Party obviously is a lot better option right now than Democrats and certainly the Muslim communists in New York City. But so you've got a lot of people who are coming into the Republican Party, call it MAGA, whatever you want. And I want to make another analogy for you, okay? Like under the auto-pin administration of Joe Biden, right? We had 10 million plus illegals pour into this country. Obviously, they weren't vetted. They had nothing in common with the country. And this has gone on for a long time, but it was exacerbated under the Biden administration, the auto-pin administration of Joe Biden. And one of the problems you have in this country is there's no integration. There's no assimilation, right? And no society can survive without assimilation. You have to come here wanting to be American, understanding what Americanism is, and have people want to be a part of that. And that didn't happen. So now you've got a similar situation. The floodgates are open. Just like, look, America became the trash can of the world under Joe Biden, right? We were like the garbage can. Every country that had people they didn't want, they sent here. All right? And I don't want MAGA. I don't want the Republican Party to become America's political garbage can. Like, I'm not here to say, oh, like, I'm so excited that we have these new people coming in. So you can bring your, lingering Democrat ideology. Maybe you don't agree with chopping off, Johnny's pee-pee at 5 years old. That's good. But all your other Democrat crap, bring in. No, I'm not supportive of that. If you want to come into MAGA, awesome. We need to build this coalition. But there has to be some education that happens at the same time. Like, I'm not here to make the Republican Party or MAGA or conservatism, which I've spent much of my life fighting for in this country. Many of you have spent your lives fighting for in this country, whether it's cultural or economic or whatever. I'm not here to say, okay, well, I'm going to abandon all that and just let this party become wishy-washy. It's like Reagan talked about bold colors. Like, we don't have to, adopt the views of the left to have an open tent. These people are leaving the Democrat Party for a reason. They need to understand and be recalibrated because they've been indoctrinated. They don't understand, the reasons. I mean, this is why you have people who leave Democrat states, right? They go to Florida or Texas or wherever. And they're literally fleeing Democrat policies, the effects of that. And they go and vote for a Democrat for the same policy. Like, are you insane? Yes, is the answer. But, no one has ever taught them anything. They don't know any different. So there's people, we need to be activists in a certain way in this country, which is to educate people. There are many people who we need to save this country, and in a very, not a demeaning way. They just haven't been on the path as long as you have, and so it's your job. It's like if not all of you are Christian, that's fine. But if you're a person of faith, I happen to be Christian. If you've been a Christian for a long time and you've studied the Bible and you've spent your life in the church, real church, not woke church, fake church, you get people that come into the church who are new to understanding God, understanding the Bible. They're curious, they believe, but they're coming from a world where they don't really know what Christianity is about. They don't know what the tenets of the Bible really are. These people could come in and be like, yeah, Jesus supported trans because, in the Bible, Jesus said, love is love is love, and you can do anything you want. No, Jesus said, basically like, the only way to heaven's through me. I mean, there's, anyway, this isn't a sermon. I just like to try and use analogies when I can. All right. So anyway, let's talk about Zohran Mamdani a little bit. Mamdani. You know who this guy reminds me of, by the way? He reminds me of Barack Obama. Did anybody think did they have PTSD when they see this guy who's 33, who's never had a real job in his life, who came obviously from, I'm going to get in trouble. You can't say this, Drew. Look, I'm not saying Obama, this guy, Mamdani, he's from Uganda. He's from Africa, East Africa. And he was born there. And the left, they've already admitted it, right? This guy got his citizenship. He's a dual citizen, which we should do away with. You can't be a dual citizen. It's like you can't have two husbands and two wives, It's retarded. Oh, I can't say that word either. Sorry. People are offended. But this guy, he came over, I think, when he was 7 years old, when he was young. But it's like literally Barack Obama 2.0 in the sense that you've got a guy whose parents are radicals. One of this guy's parents, Zohran Mamdani, I think it was his mom, was a teacher at Columbia University, right? Columbia, which turned out Barack Obama, wonderful place, wonderful university, Columbia University. And then his dad was something else, but this guy's been raised a radical, and it's just astonishing. Before I get into his politics, one of the things that drives me crazy is the non-existence of expectations, or what am I trying to say here? Like, if you applied for a job at McDonald's to like work behind the cash register, yeah, it's maybe an entry-level job, but they'd want to like know what your credentials are. They'd want to know like what are your qualifications? And there's zero demand for qualifications in politics on both sides a lot of the time. But this guy's 33, so I'm 38. This guy's 33. He's never had a real job. New York City is the biggest city in America. So forget that he's a communist. Forget he's a Democrat socialist. Forget, the guy's never run anything in his life. I mean, this guy, I'll play a video in a second of him going to halal stands and trying to, appeal to the New Yorkers about halal being $10 instead of $8. This guy couldn't run a halal stand. He doesn't have the ability to run a halal stand. And Democrats in New York would elect this 33-year-old without any real life job experience. He's just a politician. He's been in the assembly, the New York City Assembly. And they would turn over the biggest city in America, New York City, to this guy. That's what I'm saying. Like, do you care about qualification? By the way, this is the thing about your most people in Congress. You start looking at these people, it should make you irate, because we're being ruled by our literal inferiors. Like the dumbest people in America get into politics, for the most part. There are exceptions, obviously, but that's the thing. So anyway, this guy was born in Uganda, and I just want to bring this up because it'll piss off people on the left. No, I won't dare say that Obama was born in Kenya. I don't have to. His literary agent, Obama's literary agent, back in 1991 is the one who said he was born in Kenya. I don't think I actually included the photo, but his literary agent said, Barack Obama, they're promoting his book, born in Kenya, raised in Indonesia, and whatever. But anyway, so I wonder now if the Democrats will try and backtrack on Zohran Mamdani. Will they try to convince us that he wasn't born in Uganda now somehow? Will they create some new birth certificate for Zohran Mamdani? All right, let's just kind of move around here. I'm going to play this clip, this halal video. I don't want to play. It's a minute 32 seconds. I'll play a little bit of it. You'll get the point, because I just want to expose what an idiot this guy is.
New York is suffering from a crisis, and it's called halalflation. Today, we're going to get to the bottom of this. How much does a plate of halal cost right now from this truck?
$10.
$10. Chicken over rice, lamb over rice, $10.
$10?
Yeah.
When you're a street vendor, you have to pay for the food, the plates. How much do you have to pay for your permit?
Before it was 22K.
17,000.
How much does a license cost if you get it from the city?
I think 400.
And who are you paying?
The permit owner.
You're not paying the city.
No.
You pay the permit owner $22,000 just so you can sell this food.
Yes.
And who is this?
A random guy.
Have you ever applied for a permit?
Yeah, I'm applied and no come anything.
It's long wait. Number 3,800 something. And
After 2 years, you're number 3,800.
yes.
These are the 4 bills that are sitting in the city council right now, which would give these vendors their own permits and make your halal more affordable. But Eric Adams hasn't said a single word about them.
So I'm just going to quit there. So first off, this guy's a big government guy. He thinks government's the solution to all your problems. Now, the problem in New York, I mean, he's missing the point. I mean, first off, can you imagine, like, I mean, I live in Napa Valley. I can't find like a cup of water for $10, you know? So he's going to street vendors like, oh, New Yorkers' biggest problem is that their halal on the street is $10 when it could be $8. So this guy's out there saying, you know, look, well, it's because of he starts out, it's the plates, you got to pay for the food. Wow, rocket science, there's costs that businesses incur. But anyway, he picks the halal people. And, what's amazing about this is he's actually talking about free market principles. Like the cost of halal is going to be a reflection of the costs incurred by the businesses. And this guy is not a business-friendly person. His socialism is going to destroy businesses in New York City. But he's there using the halal stand as some example of how he's going to save. And notice there's nothing really specific there. It's just this kind of generic gobbledygook. Halal could be $8. I mean, imagine running. This is your platform. All the problems in New York City with crime, with everything else. And this guy's anti-police. He's pro cut off Johnny's PP at 4 years old. He wants to spend taxpayer money on, child genital mutilation, all these different issues. But here he is going around making a video like he's man on the street. Hey, I'll make your halal $8 instead of $10. Okay, great. Amazing. But, he's got a smile. And I've seen people out there on the left saying, this guy, you know what his qualification is? He's got a great smile. This guy's got a great. By the way, how's my smile? I did my hair today. Drew Allen. I'm going to run for office because I have a great smile. Pearly whites. But that's the kind of qualification these people have. They're looking for. Oh, he smiled. Stalin, if you look at pictures of Stalin and Hitler, they smiled sometimes too. I guess that makes them amazing candidates for genocide. But anyway, I'll come right back to him in a minute. I got other stuff I'm going to get into, I promise, but there's more fun to have. I mean, look, we got to take advantage of this. I'm not going to talk about this guy for a while because everything that needs to be said about this guy is going to be said today, and I'll leave it there. So I'm going to enjoy taking my time talking about the Muslim communist. But first, ever wonder why your brain feels foggy? Even when you're eating clean and exercising, it might not be burnout. It could be parasites. My wife's been talking to me, by the way, all about parasites. My mother-in-law is doing this clean eating thing because parasites are apparently in all of our bodies. And you go do the deep dive and it does freak you out. But anyway, groundbreaking research from Dr. Alan McDonald revealed a direct link between chronic parasitic infections and neurological diseases like multiple sclerosis. Parasites can cause an inflammation, nerve damage, and long-term cognitive decline. More reason to do a full body cleanse at least once a year. The wellness company, who you've heard me talk about before, has a solution for you. Ivermectin plus mebendazole, the gold standard parasite solution, now combined in one cleanse combo designed to eliminate harmful invaders and support your immune system naturally. Medical grade. It's not some trendy herbal gimmick. Fill out a quick intake form. This is typically what you do with wellness company. And get a 3-month supply shipped straight to your door. Maha is officially here, and the wellness company is making hard-to-get medications digitally accessible so you can live your best life. Head to dailyclout.health and use code dailyclout to save $60 off, plus free shipping on all orders, all right? So cleanse your body today. That's dailyclout.health. Use code dailyclout to save $60. All right. So anyway, so this is the Obama thing. This guy, it's like he comes out of nowhere. He's 33. He has no actual experience. And now he's like the media's God's gift to everyone, right? God's gift to everyone. It's a curious thing. Now, New Yorkers should absolutely be terrified of this guy. Now, like I said, we don't have to worry about this guy running for president because he's wasn't born here. Like Obama. I mean, I can't say that. Sorry. I didn't say it. His literary agent did. But anyway, he comes out of nowhere and suddenly he's forced on the citizens of New York. And look, New York has a stupid, wonky way of electing people running these primaries. They do ranked choice voting. Are you familiar with this ranked choice voting? So let me just describe it this way. Ranked choice is like, you rank your top 5 candidates. You vote for all of them. And you pick your favorite, second favorite, third favorite, fourth. So, right? So you pick your first. Now, imagine you're doing this with ice cream. Let's just make it simple. You got 3 flavors. You got chocolate, you got vanilla, you got strawberry. Let's say 10 people are voting on their favorite ice cream that everyone's going to have to eat. So, 4 people vote for chocolate as their first choice. 4 people vote for vanilla as their first choice. And let's say, what do I have left over? 2. Okay, so 2 people vote for strawberry. That's their first choice. Well, what happens is strawberry obviously is the loser. So strawberry's gone. So the 2 people that voted for strawberry, now their second choice becomes their vote, right? They didn't actually make a decision. I like this person, but this is how the system works. And so let's say, both of those people that like strawberry, disgusting, by the way, who would do that? Like, I don't trust those people anyway. But anyway, let's say they voted for strawberry. Let's say both of those people that voted for strawberry, their second choice was vanilla. Well, vanilla becomes the winner. They didn't pick vanilla. They picked strawberry, but their second choice was vanilla. So that's what goes on in New York. Now, I got to say, this guy won overwhelmingly. They have not tallied to my knowledge, they have not tallied yet the, second choice, the ranked choice. This is just initial. So he won off of people's first vote anyway. And it was over 400,000 votes. It was a significant uptick over the last primary with Eric Adams. Over 100,000 more votes for Mamdani. I didn't print the sheet out from me, unfortunately, but you can look it up. The only thing that's relevant here, well, there are a couple things there are a few things that are relevant here, I guess. But it's look, I'm a fat guy. I'm a realist, the millennial minister of truth, right? So just because I don't like something, I don't change the reality, to fit what I wish was true. New York City has a problem, and people have talked about immigration. They're right and they're wrong. Immigration is not the reason that Mamdani won. All right. I mean, to be honest, for the last 20 years, foreign-born residents of New York, it's been pretty steady. It's over 30%, I think it is, of the pop. It's a lot of people. But the problem is there's no assimilation, right? That's the issue. And New York's always been a Democrat state. I mean, if you go and look at who's won mayoral races in New York City, you had Rutte Giuliani, and then you had Bloomberg, who wasn't really a Republican, but he ran as a Republican. So he would, so you had a little spot there, Giuliani. But other than that, I mean, look at it, it's like pretty much solid Democrats who've won there. And so, this is look, New York City. Let me say this about New York. I love New York City. So when I start to explain my point to you about, sorry, Matt Gaetz, but him and Vish Burra, whatever, I think they're out there saying, we need to get behind Cuomo, or like, no, you guys are wrong. But anyhow, I moved to New York City right after I graduated from Pepperdine University. I was a theater major at Pepperdine. I had an acting scholarship to Pepperdine. Everyone told me to stay in LA. Pepperdine's in Malibu, California. Everyone told me to stay in LA, Drew. There's more opportunity. You're young. You're good looking. I was 22 years old. Stay in LA. There's more opportunity. But I just had this image in my mind of what New York was. New York to me represented America. And obviously, as an actor, I mean, my goodness, like the glory era of Broadway, where they let new talent get opportunities on stage, Marlon Brando and James Dean and Paul Newman, Robert Duvall, my favorite actor. All these people came out of New York, and I thought, man, I'm not trying to be famous. I love the craft of acting. I don't want to be a famous actor. I just want to be a great actor. And to me, it led me to New York. And so I said, no, I'm going to New York. I'd been to New York once in college. Actually, one of my best friends in college was a son of Lester Holt, who was, NBC recently quit doing the NBC Nightly News. And so I spent time with them in New York for a spring break, and it was an amazing experience, obviously. But that was it. And I was from Texas. I'd never been to New York. I mean, that was just this. I mean, New York, even though I was an American, grew up in Texas, had lived in California for college, I'd even studied in Florence. Like, even as an American, New York was America to me. It just represented the best of America, like actual immigration before the welfare states. Like, it was astonishing, and it captured my imagination too. And I'm so glad when I moved there, it was 2000, let's see, 2009. And I don't mean to tell you my whole life story, but I do have an interesting story. But anyway, I lived in New York about a year, and then I got this crazy opportunity to move to Milan, and I worked for Marc Jacobs, and I opened and managed the first retail store in Italy. And so anyways, it was wild. But I really did enjoy my time in New York. It was hard, but it was inspiring. And it was starting to change back then too, because it was the era of Barack Obama, right? He'd been elected. He was talking about socialized medicine. He was using all his political capital back then to pass the Affordable Care Act. And remember, Barack Obama ran on hope and change. And I always hated the word hope because I felt like it was antithetical to American determinism. Hope is like you just leave your fate to somebody else. It's like hope is the acceptance of your crappy circumstance. I mean, you might hope. It's like nothing's in your control when you just believe hope all the time. Now, it's if you say, "Oh, I hope I can wake up at 5 a.m." Hope? What do you need to hope for? Set your alarm and get your butt out of bed at 5. Like what hope is there to get up at 5? Just do it. And so that's what I felt was happening in America with hope was, hey, this isn't who we are. This isn't who Americans are. This isn't who I am. I don't believe in accepting our circumstances. I believe in American exceptionalism, which is the opposite of this hope and change crap. And so anyway, now you fast forward and you've got this NYC guy, Mamdani, and he's espousing socialism. Have you heard about some of his positions here? So he said, violence is an artificial construction. I wonder if the Americans, and certainly the American women that have been in the news over the last number of years with illegal immigration, I wonder if they believe and their families believe that violence is a construction, given the fact that they had to bury their children after being raped and murdered by illegals. Lake and Riley? Was violence a construction for Lake and Riley? Is violence honestly a construction for anybody living in New York City who's been forced to deal with crime, who's been robbed, burglarized? So this guy takes the side of criminals. It's just amazing, like these people putting America last. And out of one side of this guy's mouth, the snake oil salesman, oh, I'm here appealing to what New Yorkers need. Well, which New Yorkers are you appealing to? And yet these people that came out of Columbia University, these people that live in New York City that are Democrats, they're voting for this. And it really is Stockholm syndrome. I can't understand it for the life of me. I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested to hear sometime from some of you who've kind of converted. I think also I would encourage some of you, because I think the greatest like advocates for any movement used to persecute that movement. Like you look at the Apostle Paul, Paul, persecutor of Christians who became arguably, not even arguably, I mean, what would the church be? What would Christianity be without Paul? You can look at Ronald Reagan. You can even look at Trump. But, I mean, I've always spent my life around the left and Democrats, but I've never been converted to be one, whether it was in Hollywood or fashion or whatever. But this guy, he's out there celebrating in the past. He was out there celebrating all the Muslims in New York City and telling them they need to run for it. Now, I just want to, this is important because the media doesn't want to talk about this. We have been soft. We have been exposed to, obviously, the Obama administration, which wouldn't let us believe in radical Islam. They wouldn't let us associate the religion with violence. This guy's out there celebrating all the Muslims in NYC. He's telling them they need to run for office. Do Muslims have different needs than regular Americans? Not than non-Muslim Americans? Why is it so important to this Muslim for other Muslims to run New York City? Like, what if you told, hey, we need more Jews to run NYC? Obviously, there's plenty of open season for people to hate on Jews on that. What if I ran in NYC as mayor and I said, hey, I'm Drew Allen. I'm a Christian. We need more Christians to run for office in New York City. This needs to be a Christian-run city. Like, what would the left say about that? They'd be I don't think they'd like it. Do you? But this guy's out there. We need more Muslim. Why? Why is that? This guy wants to tear down statues. So this guy hates Italians. He's anti-Christopher Columbus. He wants the taxpayer, I already said, to fund trans surgeries for minors. He wants to defund the police. So this is who this guy is. All right, if you're like me and you're getting to that age where your body just hurts all the time, kind of true, then listen up, all right? Don't reach for another painkiller until you learn about this little-known turmeric hack for pain and inflammation. You've probably already heard about turmeric being used to fight inflammation and joint pain, but here's the thing. Not all turmeric is created equal. Regular turmeric powder in your pantry might help a little, but a leading pain doctor from Connecticut discovered a special turmeric extract that is 200 times more powerful than what you'd find in standard turmeric. And when he shared this turmeric hack with his patients, the results were shocking. This turmeric extract attacks pain at the source, turning it off like a light switch so that pain not only goes away, but it stays away. Dr. Josh, the brains behind it all, he's spent over 20 years helping hundreds of thousands of Americans finally break free from constant aches and stiffness. Say goodbye to the expensive surgeries, to the pain injections. Again, you can't take any old turmeric. So if you want to learn about Dr. Josh's turmeric hack and the exact method for how to use it in your daily routine, just go to goldenrevive.com/dailyclout. The link will be below the video. Just click it, start your journey towards a pain-free, healthier life. All right. So anyway, we got the halal stuff. I'm going to move on in a second. I want to get to Trump and NATO. I want to get to the Swedish women's team getting their butts kicked by the 14-year-old boys because, women and men are exactly the same. And I really want to get into Natasha Bertrand at CNN, who unbelievably, just proves that CNN's just a propaganda machine. And I have a clip, none other than Jake Tapper, the disgrace himself, right? Wow. I didn't know that Joe Biden was mentally incapacitated for 4 years. How did I miss this? I'm going to write a book about all the people that covered it up, including me. So we'll get to him in a minute. I got the Daddy's Home White House video to play. So there's a lot to get into in the next, look, we're doing this live. I'm not going to go for 2 hours. I could go a little longer, but, than the 50 minutes here. But anyway, I just want to play some clips of Mamdani here. Here he is with Jen Psaki.
You are running on issues that are very relevant to people in New York City, the cost of housing, free busing. Some have projected, that this is the type of platform that would work in other parts of the country. I mean, you're a proud democratic socialist. Do you think that is a platform that would work for other candidates running in other parts of the country?
Absolutely. I think ultimately this is a campaign about inequality. And you don't.
Let's just stop it there. Typical Marxist claptrap. This is about inequality. I'm going to comment on it, but I got one other clip I want to play. I think this is it. It ties into this. Listen to this.
For me, when you ask what does it mean to be a democratic socialist, for me it means to be fighting for a society in which dignity is guaranteed to each and every member of this place. And I believe that the state should play a critical role in the distribution of that dignity. And
the state should play a critical role in the distribution of that dignity. What is another word for dignity? It's your rights. This guy is so dangerous. Our rights are unalienable. Now, I get it. This guy's a Marxist. Democrat socialist, the rebranding of it, right? From Uganda. He is not simpatico with American values and ideals. This guy is here for one reason, that is to destroy America, to destroy New York City, to change America into the failed tyrannies that still exist all around the world, and that, of course, have also joined the ash heap of history. Our rights don't come from you, Muslim commie. They come from our Creator, from God. They are unalienable rights. They are not for the government to give and take away. This is how we got the COVID crap. People believe their rights were divvied out by the government. Oh, in the name of public health, you can't leave your house. You can't go surfing. You can't go out on the beach. You can't go for a walk. You can't go to work. You got to wear a mask. And people bought it. And what was happening throughout the COVID pandemic? It was the distribution of our rights. You can have these rights today. You can't have them tomorrow. Maybe we'll give them to you in 3 months, maybe 6 months, depending on where you live. So this is what this guy is talking about. So this guy wants to squash freedom. And I just want to be very crystal clear about what socialism is, because the young folk that are now getting older, oh yeah, capitalism's evil. He knocks on capitalism too. Capitalism's evil. Socialism's good. Socialism is the root, the economic backbone of both fascism and communism. Socialism is a tyrannical ideology. So, it's his job, the inexperienced commie from Uganda who's never run a halal stand before, he's going to tell you what's fair and what's not. He's going to decide who the winners and losers are. He's going to tell you that you're too successful. And of course, all socialism, all the Democrat Party's built on is victimhood. And this is what you're going to see pressed. Now, look, I say go for it. The Republicans do not need to back Cuomo. They do not need to back Eric Adams. You're not going to save New York City by continuing to look. Think about this. What were we saying about Cuomo during COVID? He was destroying New York City. He killed Granny, which was true. This guy was a sleazeball and a hack. Eric Adams, same thing. This guy was a disaster. And he had a little bit of common sense. He's a police guy, sort of. Okay, the illegal immigration's kind of like messing up the city. I'm starting to step on poop out here when I leave the mayor's residence, like I'm in San Francisco, and I don't like that. So I think we need to just be careful here, because I'm looking at the budget. People are telling me we don't have money. Common sense stuff. But that doesn't make this person somebody that should lead MAGA. He's not Trump. He's not brilliant. And we got to keep our standards raised in the Republican Party, on the right, in MAGA, whatever you want to call yourself these days. We are going through a political metamorphosis in this country that I don't know. It's one of the biggest in our history. I mean, we're talking on a scale that is like the early days, like when Lincoln became the first Republican candidate, when you were dealing with all these different parties, 3, 4, 5, 6 different parties. That's what's happening right now. Now, we can't see the future, but it's happening right now. And there are a couple ways this can go. Like right now, as it stands, we know that so on a national level, right? This message, socialism, this Democrat socialist, the AOCs, they can't win a national election. They can't win a national election. Look at Gavin Newsom. I can't stand Gavin Newsom. He's a fraud. He speaks out of both sides of his mouth. I live in California. I live in Napa Valley. But Gavin Newsom occasionally lets you know he gets it. He's doing the podcast, interviewing Charlie Kirk and these people, trying to appear like he's open-minded. He's not so leftist. He occasionally comes out and we'll give a nod. Like, we know the transgender issue is absurd. The majority of the American people do not support it. We know a majority of the American people, as a matter of fact, support deportations too. So he'll come out every now and then and say, oh, yeah, I mean, no, I don't support that. We got to talk about that. That's crazy. And this guy's doing the opposite. Now, New York City, to my point, talking about I love New York. New York does not represent America anymore. It's exactly what America, it's like a canary in the coal mine. It's a warning. All these liberal Democrat-run cities are warnings. But these national elections, People aren't voting for these people. So you want to like throw the Republican Party and that movement away in New York and support Democrats. So now we're just going to support Democrats to try and slow down the deterioration of New York City. No, let Democrats sort out their problems. Best case scenario, you end up with a Democrat Party that's viable. And I don't love this either, but I'm just saying that's viable, that has some sanity to it, that we can, stomach. Because if you're, I just think we're on the precipice of the annihilation of the Democrat Party. And that's what I'm here for and devoted to for the next, my life, I guess. But if Trump has a successful presidency, you're going to see the Democrat Party just really destroyed. And I'm not interested in a temporary 4-year victory where we got to fight. We got to be activists our whole life, because that's why we're in this mess. People were asleep at the wheel. But at the same time, I don't want to fight like 2024, like every single year, because we have communists that are like viable candidates in this country. I don't want that. Do you want to live that way? I don't want to live that way. So no, we don't need to back Cuomo, back Eric Adams. It's back to the addiction analogy. If New Yorkers think that Democrat socialism is the solution to New York's problems, let them have it. I'm not saying vote for them. Vote for the Republican. Try to win as a Republican, knowing that you probably won't. But don't give in and be a part of the problem, because here's the problem in America. Republicans have talked a big game for a long time. They talk about the benefits of their economic programs. They talk about the benefits of this, how they're going to do this, how they're going to do that. And it's true that those things would accomplish those objectives, but they never follow through. And so the Democrat Party can continue to run on this platform of division, of accusing the Republicans of trying to destroy Medicare, destroy this, kill your grandma, because Republicans never actually pass their agenda. Not overwhelmingly. And so Americans never actually experience life under conservatism, with low taxation, without government reliance. I think Florida's the best example of this. Whatever you want to say or think about DeSantis, maybe some of you love him, maybe some of you still hold a grudge because of what he did in the primaries with Trump. Maybe some of you still hate. I don't know what your position is, but I was not a DeSantis guy. I always supported Trump during the primary, and I was very actually harsh on DeSantis. I'm telling you that who I am, where I'm coming from. And I will still say this about DeSantis. Florida is a beacon of hope in so many ways to the country, because DeSantis did pass conservative policies. One of the reasons I believe Florida has become so red, that we've taken it off the board for Democrats to compete, is because Floridians experienced life under those conservative policies that were promised. And they realized that life was better. And that's why DeSantis and Florida have had the success they've had. But on a national scale, Americans haven't experienced it enough. And you're dealing with ideological bullcrap and so on and so forth. All right. But anyway, so no, like, I'm not going to throw away my principles, and the Democrats are on life support right now. It's a Democrat-run city, so let them have what they vote for. And maybe if they get this Mamdani guy, now I'm not hoping he wins. I'm just saying that it's a possibility. And if he does win, enjoy those 4 years, New York City. See what happens. You're going to have your businesses leave. You're not going to have any money to pay for these things. You're going to have crime through the roof. And maybe people will wake up and realize that AOC and Mamdani from Uganda, who's never had a job before, maybe they are the losers that I am telling you they are. Very similar, AOC and him. Democrat, one's a bartender, I guess AOC is could run for, they wanted to run for president, supposedly. Anyway, let's just move on. Are you tired of Mamdani? I'm sick of this freaking guy. But you get the point. All right. So Donald Trump is Daddy Trump. Well, so he was at the NATO Summit. And Rutte, I don't know how you pronounce his name, Rutte. He used to be the prime minister of the Netherlands. Now he's the head of NATO. He and Trump are friends. They go back to Trump's first administration. And Donald Trump, you might remember, when Israel and Iran broke the ceasefire, he was caught, he was on camera and audio saying, using the F word. These people don't know what the frick they're doing. And it was beautiful. I love Trump. I'd never get tired of Trump. But anyway, here's the daddy White House video that everyone's talking about, in case you don't know what the context is.
I just want to get your attention.
Oh, wrong one. I'll play that in a second. That's fun. Here's Rutte or Root, whatever, saying daddy.
I mean, we may do papers on it, Marco. Maybe we're going to do papers. I don't even know if you need them. They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. They fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easier to stop them.
And then daddy has to sometimes use strong language to
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while, you have to use a certain word.
So, I mean, it's fun. It's hilarious. It's not that exaggerated. I think people out of context are not seeing that video think that, this guy's like obsessed with Trump, daddy Trump, like kissing his, that's not what was going on. He's describing, breaking up two kids. And he's saying, yeah, sometimes daddy's got to use strong language because Donald Trump, initiated the analogy of, fatherhood, daddy, this kind of spirit. And Trump really is that, to be honest. A lot of people, still have a little bit of lingering TDS, even on the right, I think, but Trump's a special guy and we're lucky to have him. And he is kind of like that father figure. And it's just amazing to think about Joe Biden and what we had to experience for 4 years. And this guy's of a similar age. And it's just impressive. It's just impressive. Even if you hate Trump, I mean, the guy's just built different. It's inspiring to me. I mean, I'm 38. I got 2 kids. One's a little over 2. We're trying to do potty training right now. The other one's 5 months old. And I'm like, and I'm doing a lot to stay energetic. I've been back in the gym and I'm feeling good. And that's something that's important to me, health and vitality. And this guy eats cheeseburgers and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? This guy seems like he's got more energy than me. And I'm 38. But anyway, so, okay, let's talk about the treason that took place. So Donald Trump is saying that, we sent in our bombers and we strategically bombed Iran, their nuclear facility specifically. By the way, I'm looking out my window of my studio here and I'm looking for nukes. I mean, is World War III happening somewhere? I mean, or did I miss it? Because I was assured by, I'm sorry to do this, I don't hate you, but look, man, you got to get called out by somebody. I'm tired of this game. Like, well, I'm not walking on eggshells. I don't hate anybody because I have to, but you had the whole InfoWars crew. Obviously, you had Candace Owens, Ian Carroll, these people out there telling us World War III is going to happen if we do this. Boots are going to be on the ground. At what point do you stop listening to people whose predictions never, ever come true? Like, I'm not perfect. Certainly I'm not perfect, but I take my job seriously. I mean, I'm serious about, obviously it's an opinion show. You're not going to agree with me all the time. That's not my point. My point isn't to force you to agree with me. I don't care. It's here to create dialogue. It's here to give you the facts and obviously to weigh in and give you my opinion. But, I just don't understand, like, these people that you see, they have this rigid ideology, which for them, it is anti-Jew, anti-Israel, maybe some of you think that way. I don't know. But the point is they have this myopic view of what the world is in their mind. And so anything that doesn't confirm that, it's like lost. It doesn't change anything. I mean, so anyway, World War III didn't happen. So anyway, we had these bombers go in and it was a huge success. And obviously the people with Trump derangement syndrome, the never Trumpers, the media, the deep state, the Democrat Party, the rhinos, these people, they cannot. Here's the rule that the left lives by. It is to condemn everything that Trump does, no matter what. This is the point of view of the left. They have to oppose Trump because he's Trump. So even if he does something objectively amazing, they have to oppose it. In this case, they had to invent some bullcrap in order to oppose it, in order to try and attack it. So every president, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, everyone has agreed Iran can't have nukes. All of these people are on record saying multiple times that they would carry out this very type of strike if they had to in order to prevent Iran from getting nukes. And Trump, here's the thing. Trump does all the things the Democrats also say is not possible. Middle East peace. Oh, you can't do that. And he did it, with the Abraham Accords last time. Barack Obama, this is the new normal, except, 1% GDP, growth for the rest of your life. Donald Trump's like, F that. Let's try and get 4%, 5%. Let's go. Let's roll. And then he does it. I mean, this guy, this is what I mean. He does have the American spirit in this sense because he's just an optimist. He's just going to get stuff done. He doesn't abide by these rules and limitations that are self-imposed by stupid politicians and Marxists. So anyway, we carry out the strike. World War III didn't happen. Boots are not on the ground. It was necessary. The Middle East was happy. Nobody likes Iran in the Middle East. Everyone's happy about it, whether they want to admit it openly or not. So it's objectively good. We didn't go and bomb Tehran. Civilians aren't all lying dead in Iran. It was a strategic strike. So rather than say, okay, I'll give Trump this one, the world's a safer place without these nukes. Well, you had Natasha Bertrand at CNN obtain leaked intel that was low confidence, which means it's a bunch of BS. It's not even true. So she leaks this, with just a nod, a slow confidence. So, this intel says that likely this wasn't successful. It wasn't set back years. It was set back, weeks or months or whatever. So she lied. Also leaked intel like this, that's classified information. I thought Democrats didn't they want to put Donald Trump in prison for having classified documents at his house? At Mar-a-Lago, didn't they raid Melania Trump's panty drawer looking for classified? Didn't they stage boxes trying to put him in prison over classified docs? And now suddenly the Democrats are like, "This is amazing! What a hero! What a patriot leaking this information to us." And Natasha Bertrand, just to refresh your memory, has zero credibility whatsoever. If CNN had any dignity, maybe they need to go to Zohran, Muslim communist in New York City, as mayor. Maybe he can give them their dignity. Ask Zohran Mamdani for your dignity. He can give your dignity a lot, whatever. Allah will give you your dignity. Anyway, so, oh man. Okay, sometimes you have to laugh. So, anyway, point is, this person, Bertrand, is conveniently the same person who broke the 51 intelligence community, IC community members, say that the Hunter Biden laptop is Russian disinformation. So this is what she does. She is simply a vessel for the deep state. And like I said, if CNN had any dignity, any self-respect, they would distance themselves from her and condemn this. But they willingly did this on CNN because their job is to undermine President Trump and this country. So here's Jake Tapper.
But here's the thing. Today, President Trump and his administration are going after shooting the messengers in an increasingly ugly way. They're calling journalists fake news for truth.
Because you are fake news, Jake. These people, it's amazing how these people are always perpetual victims. They have lied to you about everything for, 12 years. More, but let's focus on the 12 since Trump came on the scene. And it's like Fauci. I am science. Jake Tapper, Natasha, we are journalists. No, you're not. You're propagandists. You don't deserve any respect. And that's why I love, you see the press conferences with Secretary of Defense Hegseth. As a matter of fact, I'm doing the weave. Let me play this because I want to make a point.
Because you, and I mean specifically you, the press, specifically you, the press corps, because you cheer against Trump so hard. It's like in your DNA and in your blood to cheer against Trump because you want him not to be successful so bad. You have to cheer against the efficacy of these strikes. You have to hope maybe they weren't effective. Maybe the way the Trump administration has represented them isn't true. So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it.
Man, Pete was on fire at that press conference. And there were people that wanted to throw him overboard. Nah, I'm thankful for you, Pete. Salute, brother. All right, how are we feeling? We got like 10 more minutes in us. I'm feeling good. It's been an hour. People are still hanging with me. You know, we're not going to do this for 3 hours. It's a 3-hour show. But let's keep going for a few more minutes. Swollen limbs, joint pain, inflammation, skin aging, and cognitive decline. Joe Biden, you should listen to this. I'm going to help you. These are just a few of the awful side effects that you can experience due to poor blood circulation. To make matters worse, it's highly unlikely your blood circulation will correct itself on its own, which means your health issues will only continue to decline as you age. And popping ibuprofen, I hate to tell you this, it's not a solution to your pain. It's only temporary relief, and it's only masking the true problem, which is what? Inflammation. Right now, you can go to Get Krill, K-R-I-L-L, Krill, getkrill.com/Daily Clout to learn more and get a special free shipping offer just for being a listener to The Drew Allen Show. New research proves there's a potent deep sea supernutrient tucked away 73 miles off of the Antarctic coast, which is the hidden key to improving your blood circulation. They're saying this Antarctic supernutrient, that's what they're calling it, to add this to your diet. And I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids, but not just any form of omegas. These particular omega-3 fatty acids are sourced from wild-caught krill. This omega-3 content from krill oil has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, Joe, as well as reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain. Benefits, they go on and on and on. And it doesn't have the dangerous side effects ibuprofen does. And by the way, so some of these reports, they're saying it outperforms name brand pain relievers and that you see results in as little as 7 days. And for a limited time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic krill oil at up to 66% off plus free shipping. Just go to getkrill.com/Daily Clout right now to get your special offer. All right. So you played that. Have y'all seen what the White House, look, you know, Barack Obama was like such a revolutionary candidate in the way that he utilized these newer forms of media back then. President Trump, his team is just killing it. He's killing it with the people that put this stuff out. So you heard the clip of the daddy thing. And so they just put out this video. If you haven't seen it, I'll play part of it.
I just want to get your attention. Hey girl. I really want to be all up in your head. Yeah. Is it you say daddy's home for me? And I know you've been waiting for this loving all day. You know your daddy's home and it's time to play. Yeah. So you ain't got to give my love away. So nobody say
anyway, it's simple, but it's just like nobody knows how to troll the left like Trump does. I mean, I've never seen anything like it in my life. So I want to back to that Hegseth clip. You know, this is how you have to treat the media. You know, that these people think they're special. They think you're obligated to respect them by virtue of their profession. And they're not. People used to have an issue, right, with Trump. I mean, this is a Marxist Saul Alinsky rules for radicals tactic where, you know, you make the enemy play according to their own playbook, but you're obviously freed from that because you don't have a playbook. So they'd say, you know, oh, well, you know, this behavior from President Trump of calling out the media, that is unbecoming of the office. So meanwhile, the left and the media, they'll sit there and abuse and lie and be totally inappropriate in their conduct, disrespecting the office of the president and the president himself. And then they'll turn around and say, but you can't say anything back to us. You can't do the same so this is how they operate. They use this, if you're a Christian, with the Bible. This is just something to pay attention to. And I love this. I hope that most of you are comfortable with this, that you're cheering this, that you actually understand what's happening here and why we're having success, because we are pushing back. Trump's pushing back. And whether it's Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, whether it's Pete Hegseth, Secretary, all of these people push back. Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, I think that there are many legacies that Trump will leave behind, obviously exposing the deep state. And I understand there's work to be done. All right. And by the way, I just want to say, be optimistic. Don't fall for this trap of just turning negative, turning against Trump in an instant all the time. It's okay to be critical of Trump. We have to, when those moments arise, but you've got to be realistic as well. One of the things I try to do, because I think there are probably new people listening, if you don't know my background, who am I? Who's Drew Allen? This guy was just an actor. He's like Mamdani. No. So I'm a publicist. That's what I do. So I'm a publicist. And my clients have been Tulsi Gabbard, with my boss, AJ. Pete Hegseth has been a client. We've got like 12 or 13 former clients that are in the Trump administration. So, and I'm not beholden to anybody, by the way. I live in Napa. I'm totally detached. I don't live in DC. But a lot of these people, they always think, one of the things that bothers me is everyone trying to pretend they're smarter than they are, trying to pretend they have more credibility than they do. And most of these people don't have any special insight, obviously, because they get everything wrong all the time, but we all listen and lean in because it's like clickbait. I don't do that on this show. I'm not into that, but I do have some insight into these people. I do have an insight into DC and how it works without being in DC to be beholden to these people or feeling like I can't criticize. I stay outside enough so I can do it and be honest with you. And, I'll always give it to you straight about how DC works and some of the problems that are out there. But, Donald Trump is not going to solve all of this country's problems in 4 years. Okay. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm here to be, Captain Reality. It's just not going to happen. And, there are going to be some, you have to prioritize what you can do. I mean, I think that deportations have to be like numero uno priority, because if somehow we squander, the next election and Democrats get back in power and we didn't deport these people, where are we? They're going to push for amnesty again. This is the Achilles heel of the Democrat Party. It's these illegals that are here, by the way. If you can get rid of that, you will undo decades of damage. And I just want to mention this briefly, and then I want to finish with a Swedish soccer team. I think Sweden. One of the things that came to my attention over the last couple of years, which I'm ashamed to say I didn't realize earlier. Obviously, we have a census every 10 years that's conducted, and based on those numbers, the House of Representatives, right, in Congress, those seats are apportioned. They change, so people gain seats or lose seats based on population changes. Well, in a state like California, where I live, you have untold numbers of illegals. Yes, illegal. No human being is illegal. They're illegal. They shouldn't be here. The illegal aliens in California, the census in California includes people who are not citizens. So I want you to think about what this means. You're talking about 10, 20 seats. Like, think about how small our majority is right now in the House. It's minuscule. But part of the reason it's minuscule is because states like California that are Democrat powerhouses have more power than they should, more influence than they should, because they're counting illegals in the census. So those people aren't allowed to vote, but somehow they're being counted and they're represented in Congress. Do you see the huge problem here? This is the workaround. This is what Democrats brilliantly, I got to hand it to them, have managed to do. So they're winning even if these illegals don't vote. Because if you have a Democrat state like New York or California that's reliable, you don't need the illegals to vote necessarily to win. You have enough Democrats to do that, but your population and your apportionment in the House gives you more power. So this is a huge problem. And, it's funny, the Democrats who don't really understand much of anything about anything, unfortunately, like they always get the, 3/5 compromise wrong. And, they think, this is the Republicans back then who believed that the slaves were a percentage of a human being. No, it was actually pro-black, because the southern slave states had huge populations of black slaves, and the black slaves couldn't vote, but they wanted to count them and include them in the census so that they would have them represented and give them power in the House, just like with illegals. So that's kind of just to understand what's going on here. But anyway, so all right. So this is huge. So Trump's saying the Democrats are the ones who leaked this stuff, by the way. And it's a huge scandal. He's saying he's going to limit sharing classified intel with Congress now as a result. Good for you. This is a guy who always just seeks solutions. I love it. Now, I said Sweden, I meant Switzerland. So did you hear about this? What happened in Switzerland? Well, it's like what's happened here in the U.S. to the women's national team. You had a group of 14-year-old girls. It was an under 15 team. Under 15, U15 is 14 and younger. So a group of 14-year-old. Wow, I messed up. I was thinking of doing it a different way. Anyway, I was going to say a bunch of 14-year-old girls beat the men's national team, but obviously that didn't happen. Anyway, failed. But anyway, the women's national team in Switzerland was defeated 7-1 by the men's under 15. So 14-year-old boys beat the women's national team in Switzerland. And I was reading an article on this, and the article acknowledged the goal is to what. So why would you have, in this world where biology doesn't exist and women can be men and men can be women and whatever, why would you have the women's national team play a bunch of 14-year-old boys? Well, the goal is to bring a certain competitive element. The focus during this phase of preparation is on the physical aspect. Regardless of the result, these training games are very similar to our international matches. So basically, to have the same training purposes, to reach the same competitiveness, to get ready for the Olympics or the World Cup, these national competitions, the women's national team has to play 14-year-old boys. So 14-year-old boys could go and win the women's, World Cup or women's Olympics and so on and so forth. I just think it's amazing that it's happening here. And you still have people to try and pretend like biology is not a real thing. Like whatever this guy. But anyway, all right, well, that's all we have time for today. I want to say one more thing. I want to finish this because this is the important purpose of today's episode. Look, the Democrat, we used to talk about how Republican Party was splintering. And now we're past that because Trump is such a behemoth that we've got this MAGA movement, at least right now. Well, it turns out it's the Democrat Party that's imploding. It's the Democrat Party that's being divided, that's having a civil war. And so you've got a moment that we should just be relishing and help happening. And that's going to be your Cuomos and your Eric Adams. They're all running as independents. Cuomo's not bowing out of the race. So you're going to have Eric Adams, Cuomo running against this guy. And yeah, if that happens, the Muslim communists will probably win. But nonetheless, the Democrat Party is going to be severely weakened. Think about this. We're going to be MAGA. We're going to be strong. Our numbers are going to remain united. We're going to continue to pick off people. And remember, we have to assimilate them into our party. We have to teach them. We can't just be, becoming Democrats because we're letting these new people in. They don't get to take over the party. But Cuomo and these guys are saying, well, the Democrat Party doesn't want them. So the Democrats are committing suicide. You can win as a socialist in New York City, but you can't win a national election. So these people are hosed. These are not things that are supported. They're going the wrong direction, but they're doing it in New York because of the pressure from AOCs and this young group of their base. They're screwed because they can't win without their base. And, soon they won't be able to win even with their base. And that's what we have to make sure we promote. So you're going to have these Eric Adams and whatnot. I don't want them. Look, you're not coming over here to MAGA. You are not MAGA. I'm tired of being betrayed by the fake MAGA, okay? You're not MAGA Cuomo. You're not MAGA Eric Adams. I'll praise you because case by case when you make a rational decision that all of us would make anyway. But let those guys, let the Democrats create a new party for themselves. Let them figure it out. And we will just run roughshod over them and make sure that they don't have any political power in the future. All right. All right. This is Drew Allen, your Millennial Minister of Truth. God bless you all. Thanks for joining. And until next time.